a video on a comparison between this bought guanciale and my homemade guanciale. So 2 years ago I made guanciale and I've got a little bit of it left. So it's looking a little bit sorry for itself, but it's 2 years old and it's been in my fridge, so it's done pretty well. Still smells good and it's tasted good every time I've used it. But I was in the supermarket and this is Lidl, and they were selling guanciale. I was kind of thought, well, I can't miss this opportunity to buy some guanciale. So although keep refrigerated, best before 31st of the 10th 23. So that's 3 months out of date, isn't it? Should have checked that before we started. But it's a cured meat. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Unless it's when we open it, and then there'll be a very short video, won't it? Well, let's just have a look at this and see what we think. It won't. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be the best quality guanciale there is. I could have bought some from my mate, the cheesemonger, who also sells a bit of charcuterie. So, although it's not charcuterie if it's Italian, is it? The charcuterie is an French word. So, as you can see, obviously the pigs that they use for guanciale are they old? Yeah, so they're older pigs, so there's a lot more fat on them. Pigs in the UK get to a certain age before they're killed, so you don't get extremely fatty pigs. And I was once chatting to a lorry driver who used to take pigs to the slaughterhouse, and what used to happen, well, the company he worked for, they used to take the pigs in, and then they didn't know how much they were going to get price-wise for the pigs until they'd been slaughtered and they measured the fat. And if the pigs were too fat, and like there was too much fat to meat ratio, they got less of a price, because the UK people didn't want a particular fatty pig. But in the rest of the world, they all know that a fatty pig's a tastier pig. So, but people don't want to pay for fat in the UK. So people would look at in the UK would look at that and kind of go, well, it's all fat. That's my impression of someone who doesn't like fatty pork. They all sound like that. So, but in the rest of the world, people realise that is flavour. Whereas people want kind of like, not even that, they want kind of quite lean things, because they don't want to pay for the fat, because they want the meat. Although when you are buying a fatty product like that, you're actually paying for flavour. But anyway, that's just how it is. So it's very difficult to kind of get like a pig with a lot of fat in the UK, unless you're going to go to a speciality breeder and they be older than, I've forgotten how old pigs are when they're slaughtered, but not that old. But anyway, so smells alright. I'm going to taste it raw. Let's taste it raw and see what we think. Need to cut the skin off first. Oh, a nice sharper than it normally is. It's strange. So we don't want that, but we do want this. And then I'm going to make a pasta alla griglia. That's not how you pronounce it. I do apologise. But you know, the one where you use guanciale to in with some spaghetti to make a rustic dish. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright in its cured form. Now, mine has discoloured over time. This one might be nice. Let's just cut that in half. Let's see what it looks like in the centre. See? Still lovely and pink on the centre. It's just on the outside. So, but there's a lot more fat. So, we will cube some of it and fry it, and then see what we think when it's cooked. Right, so I have noticed something already, and that fat has gone, with the tiniest amount of heat, has gone instantly translucent. So you can see straight through that. So that's kind of quite amazing, isn't it? Now, that's kind of quite interesting, whereas opposed to mine, it hasn't gone as translucent, so I don't know why that is, but we'll carry on cooking and we'll see how it turns out. So this is kind of irritating, that those bits that were translucent, the fat isn't rendering out of them if there was actually some fat in it in the first place. So some of them have kind of gone crispy, but it's not consistent. So we've still got these bits that are translucent, which are a bit tough, whereas mine has kind of gone like that, and the fat's rendered out of it. Although there are some, just cook that on an angle. So small, make the surface area a little bit smaller. What we do is just prop it up on something and it cooks in that corner there. So, but kind of the same's happened with mine, that those bits of translucent and the fat's not kind of rendering out of them, but it's a little bit annoying because there's obviously more fat there. There's more of that translucent bit, so it's certainly not going to be as nice to eat. So we'll have to keep doing that to get that fat rendered out and starting going crispy. But these bits, it's delicious. That fat's delicious, but just a little bit of a hassle to kind of do that to make it more palatable. Not edible, it is edible, but palatable is the word, nicer to eat. But anyway, so I'll have to keep on doing that. Right, so let's do a bit of a taste test. Very nice. I mean, that's tender, is that? Those translucent bits. That's lovely. Is that? That's going to make nice pasta. And then mine. More chewy. I mean, obviously come from a younger pig, but chewier. Maybe it's because it's a couple of years old. But anyway, so very nice. What was I going to say? Well, I was thinking about this, wasn't I? So I kind of think, well, making Guanciale, it was like a lockdown process. So that terrible time when we're all locked in our houses, it was one of the kind of the projects that I did. I thought to myself, well, I'll make some Guanciale instead of buying it. So, and then to make the famous Roman pasta dishes, I've used my own Guanciale and bought cheap. A little bit less fat in than that. I bought cheap pasta. So it's harder to make the classic Roman pastas with your own Guanciale and cheap pasta, but it teaches you how to do things. And then, I mean, much easier with more expensive pasta. Well, better, no, that's the wrong thing to say. But a better quality pasta. Easier to do things with a better quality pasta and a better quality Guanciale. You know, you don't have to just work as hard. But I suppose I always kind of do things the hard way anyway. But anyway, so, and I always kind of think, if just because we're on a tighter budget doesn't mean we can't turn cheaper ingredients into delicious food. We just need to work a little bit harder. Anyway, so I'll explain this a load of times in a load of videos, but we'll go through it again. So the classic Roman pasta and sauces, you rely on making the sauce in the pan, and you rely on the starch from the pasta. The starch to form the sauce. So if we deconstruct a cheese sauce, we need a starch, we need a liquid, we need a cheese, and we need a fat. So from that thought, the famous Roman pasta dishes, we make the sauce from the starch is the starch from the pasta water and the pasta itself. The fat is from the guanciale fat. The cheese is from the cheese, and the liquid is the cooking liquid. Now, it's all very well using pasta water, but the pasta water that you use from boiling pasta doesn't get saturated enough with the starch from pasta, because in a restaurant you're cooking lots of pasta, so that water throughout the day is constantly adding more starch added to it. More water as it evaporates off, but more starch gets added to it as well because you're cooking more pasta. So that water, the pasta water they use in restaurants, is absolutely saturated with the starch from pasta. You can't really do that at home, so that's why I always get the spaghetti, get a container, put the spaghetti in the container and cover it with water for a couple of hours. And then it softens and some of the pasta comes out, and then we use that water, which has got the starch in it, goes into there. So we can already see there that that is already starchy, pasta-y water. So, and then I shouldn't do it this way. It's not how you do it in restaurants, and Italian people would be swearing at me for doing it this way. It's just a little bit of a kitchen hack to get around the fact that our pasta water at home isn't as saturated with the pasta starch as it is in a restaurant. So we're not going to get the same results. We're not going to get the same results at home, or it's going to be harder to get the same results at home. So this is my just little bit of a kitchen hack to kind of get around it. So what's going to happen is it's going to cook in as little water as possible. So in that sense, it's going to be cooking like a risotto. The starch is going to come out of the pasta, and by the time the pasta is cooked, we will have almost a sauce which is formed from the starch from the pasta, the water that's in there, and the fat as well. And then just by adding cheese, we'll create that cheese sauce. So keep this moving around, starch will come out of it, add a little bit more water as we go. See, it's already starting to form a sauce there. Now, that doesn't happen with cheaper pasta, but when you use a better quality pasta, that's what happens. And it's designed to do that, the better quality pasta. Anyway, so we'll carry on cooking this. I'll get some cheese grated, and we'll see if the guanciale that I bought makes a better classic Roman pasta-y sauce. So the pasta's not cooked, but as you can see, the liquid is thickening up. So that's going to make a pasta sauce a lot easier because we've used a better quality pasta. I did see Romani sauces, didn't I? That sounds like Romani gypsies. It's not wrong. Like Rome as in Rome, Italy, not Romani. Not like Romani gypsies. Romy, like, or Rome. I'm making a fool of myself. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. So we just actually need to add a little bit more water because the pasta's not just quite cooked yet. So we just add a little bit more water from the kettle, hot water, just to loosen that up. The idea is that just as the pasta's cooked, the liquid should be not all evaporated. We want some liquid in there, but there shouldn't be too much liquid left. Remembering that we can always add a little bit more. Very difficult to kind of take it away. So how is that pasta tasting? Actually, just about there. So give it a blast of heat and get it hot for when we add the cheese. So we're going to turn the temperature off when we add the cheese, because if we don't, the cheese will split. Also, I found out the other day you can add too much fat to things and that splits things as well. So I want a little bit more liquid than that. Yeah, it wants a little bit more liquid than that, but not too much liquid. Right. All nice and hot. You can see the sauce is already forming in the bottom of the pan. So turn off. What people normally do is they mix the cheese in with some of the pasta water. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to add the cheese to the pasta. Quite a lot of cheese actually, I've probably done too much. We'll see how we go. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Then, where are my tongs? Oh, there, they're already out. So, move the pasta on top of the cheese, let it start to melt. Now we haven't put the guanciale in yet, because what it has a habit of happening is that all the cheese wants to clump on the and grip to the guanciale. So we make the sauce first, and then add the guanciale at the end. And the temperature of the pasta and the cheese sauce will warm the guanciale back up. As you can see, that's formed a great sauce, hasn't it? So that works. A better quality pasta and guanciale certainly make a better sauce. Let's see if we can add a little bit more liquid and then see how much cheese we can get away with. So we've got to be careful that there's still enough heat in the pasta that it's going to melt any more cheese that we add to it. So there's a certain amount of cheese that we can add. We can't make it too cheesy, because the cheese there won't be enough heat in the pasta to melt the cheese. But we can certainly make it that there's plenty of sauce. Although Italian food is lots of pasta, a little bit of sauce. But you can see, you can't because it's all, you can see the sauce that's formed in the bottom of the pan there, which is what we want. And then we can do the chefy thing if we want, and we can twizzle it all around. Let's see if we can get a bit more cheese. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong, but I've succeeded already. So this is just me adding more cheese just for the sake of finding out, and a little bit of greed because I'm hungry. I've been swimming, what a surprise. So let's see if we can just get away with this bit of extra cheese here. We might just need to add a little bit of liquid, just so it incorporates. And then turn that over on top of that so that starts to melt, so it doesn't stick to the tongs. Oh, that works, doesn't it? So there's loads of cheese and loads of sauce there. Well, there's some clumps there, but they just need to melt. So we'll just have the pasta on top of it, and the heat will cook those. So got loads of sauce there. Then, so we can see that's the sauce there on my finger. There you go, that's a lovely sauce consistency, isn't it? Very creamy. And then, so we'll toss a little bit of the guanciale in with the pasta, and then we'll get out the ladle and the fork, and we'll do the twizzly thing into the bowl, make it look all pretty, and then we'll give it a taste. But it just needs a little bit more liquid. Just a little bit more. See, the pasta keeps on absorbing the liquid, so you just need to keep an eye on it that it doesn't start to get claggy. There will be a word for that in Italian. The word in English is claggy. So that's that. Get that out of the way. And then where do that. So we can do the chefy thing of forming the pasta in the ladle, and then it looks pretty in a bowl like that. And then just a few bits of guanciale on top. And there we go. Doesn't that look professional? Taking a picture, let's taste out of the pan. See, already it started going claggy, congeal. But we'll give it a taste and see what we think. That's lovely. That's lovely, is that? I think it would take a... That's so good. That's so good. I think you'd have to be a proper connoisseur to know the difference between, if you were to use really expensive, well, no, really good quality guanciale to a medium quality guanciale, or even like a dry cured bacon. To be honest, I'm certainly not that person, but delicious. Delicious and a success. So you can still see that the sauce in the pan is there. I mean, it's gone a little bit too. It's gone a little bit thick, but it's certainly made a sauce, and that's down to the what we call. That's down to the better quality pasta. You know, I struggled in the past to kind of get it right, but I'm glad that I used cheap pasta to have a faff around with, because it was a cheaper way to learn. But anyway, success.